What's up everyone, Philly7X, and today we're going to be going over my top 10 tips on getting Dark Matter Ultra in Black Ops Cold War. A couple things before we get into the video. One, this is just based on my personal opinion of what the top 10 tips are. These are the tips that I used, and while I did discover pretty much all of them by myself, I'm by no means saying that I, invented them or whatever. A lot of this stuff is just, I don't want to say common knowledge, but for camo grinders, it's something along that. And another thing, the first couple are highest priority, but then after that, nothing is really in any type of order. It's time to get the fuck out of there. As you can see, we have Dark Matter Ultra here, and then Dark Ether here, and we've had DM Ultra for probably around a month or so at this point. We got Dark Ether about a week or so ago, a week or two, I don't know. Point being, I have both camos. I obviously went through and had to get them all, so I kind of have somewhat first-hand experience, if that even matters. Also, if you just want to skip to a specific section, I'll include the timestamps down in the description below. But yeah, for tip number one, I'd highly recommend running Hardcore Nuketown, at least for everything except snipers and melee, at which point I would suggest running just regular core, but still staying with Nuketown. The reason being is that hardcore, everything's pretty much a one-shot kill, which obviously goes both ways, but you're pretty much just going to get more kills in hardcore, and it also makes your headshots and long shots significantly easier because you don't have to worry about, tagging them in the head or tagging them at a long range, and then they don't die right away, and then they get away. Nuketown is also a small enough map to where you don't really have to run too far to find people, but it's also long enough to where you can get long shots with, I think, pretty much everything. Pretty much, it's just arguably the best map for camos overall. You can obviously use any map you want, but even still, at the end of the day, I would still suggest hardcore for the majority of the grind. So yeah, tip number one, pretty much play hardcore Nuketown or hardcore or Nuketown. And yeah. For tip number two, and this is arguably as important as one, give or take, and this has to do with weapon leveling, because honestly the longest, and I wouldn't say hardest part, but definitely the longest part of the camo grind is maxing out your weapon levels. And for this tip, you just want to utilize your double weapon XP as effectively and efficiently as possible. And what I mean by that is, obviously, if there is a double XP event, try to make time in your schedule to play as much of it as you can. I know some people have busy schedules and can't really put in 10 hours a day to play games, but try to get as much time in as you can during the double XP events, just because they're so important to the grind. Another thing you want to keep in mind is while you're doing the double XP events, you don't really want to go for challenges. You just want to focus on leveling up. I made this mistake in Modern Warfare with Damascus. I wasted the first couple double XP events just because I was more so focused on getting a gun gold rather than just leveling everything up. And the fact of the matter is, the challenges will still be there, but the double weapon XP won't. So, you pretty much, oh, what? So what you want to do is just, like I said, focus on just leveling up the weapon, and you don't even have to get it to max level. I would just get it to the point where you have all the camos unlocked, which for primaries is level 50 and secondaries is level 30. You could stop at around level 40 or so, with the logic being that by the time you get to 50, all your other challenges will be unlocked. If you're short on time, that might be, a good strategy. But for me, the challenges at level 50 is double kills, and honestly, you'll probably get most of the double kills by the time you get to level 50 if you stopped at 40. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a waste, but it's just not an efficient method, if that makes any sense. But yeah, what you want to do is, say you have a weapon that's, level 1, say it's an AR. You want to get it to level 50 and then go to the next weapon. Go to your next AR, SMG, whatever it may be. Just move on to the next weapon. Obviously, you'll get some camos done along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But once you get the weapon to max level, you just want to stop grinding that gun, because at that point, you're pretty much wasting your double XP time. So like I said, for primaries, you want to get it to level 50. Secondaries, get it to level 30, and then move on to the next gun. And then this is where, the tips start becoming less in any order. It's just kind of more so covering them. That's important. So for tip number three, going on the Flora camo challenges, or the kill enemies while detected, stunned, or disoriented, or whatever, they were pretty annoying at first, but once you know how to do it, they become a lot easier. And what I would suggest doing is running the UAV, the counter UAV, and the HARP. Also, on that note, during the whole camo grind, I didn't run any, I don't know what the word, like aggressive score streaks, like score streaks that can get kills, just because I wanted to focus all my kills on my weapons. Plus, it also kind of stacks with this Flora set of challenges. So if you have the UAV, the counter UAV, and the HARP, that's all three of your score streaks, allowing you to detect or disorient or whatever your enemies. So as long as you have a streak up, you should be getting progress done towards that. Second, I would run Danger Close, and that way you can run 2 stun grenades. Again, in the camo description, it says you can get kills while your enemy is stunned, and obviously having more stuns means you can stun more people. And I would also suggest running Gearhead and the field mic, because Gearhead obviously allows you to get the field mic a lot quicker, and the field mic is arguably one of the better, if not best, ways to get this camo challenge done. And even though you don't really have a mini map in hardcore, you can still get these done in hardcore. It's just obviously, unless you have a UAV up, you won't really see your the enemies on the map or whatever, but it still does count. I did actually a lot of my challenges in it. If you just like on Nuketown camp up in a room and you put down the field mic, anyone in the room or in the house is going to be covered by that field mic. However, I would suggest playing on a core for these, because then you can actually see the enemies at all times on your field mic or your UAV or whatever. And there's no real like significant advantage. It's just more so like a visual advantage, so you know like who counts and who doesn't, or you have a better understanding of who counts and who doesn't. Tip number 4 is in regards to long shots, to which Cold War kind of made it really easy to figure these out. You pretty much, you go to your barracks, go to your combat record, go to multiplayer, and then no matter which, I mean, you kind of can't see it because of my head, but no matter which gun, if you look up in this top right corner of the graph, you'll see the ideal range and then the long shot range. And as you can see here, the Pellington has a long shot range of 51 or more meters. And for the most part, these are the same within the classes. So as you can see here, the Tundra is also at 51 meters, but then we get down to the LMGs with the RPD right here. The long shot range falls down to 41 meters. That's the same with the M16, with the tactical rifles. M82 sniper goes back up to 51. The shotguns at 14 meters, and so on and so forth. And knowing these ranges is important because in this game you can ping. So a common spot I did for the shotguns was right here in this doorway. Remember, we needed at least 14 meters for a long shot, and if we ping the edge of this bus, that's pretty much 14 meters. And again, I would suggest doing these on hardcore just because, you know, it's pretty much everything's a one-hit kill if you can reach. So what I did was I would lay here, and if you look, if you back up almost as far as you can, you still want to be able to make sure you can, you know, turn left and right. Like, don't block yourself with prone so that you can't. Then if we ping here, or not that, that's 17 meters, so that's within the long shot range. So anything we shoot here will count as a long shot, and you can hit here. Again, it's a lot more effective on hardcore than core, but you get the point. Another good spot is up here. You just walk up this little railing, and then you slowly creep over the side, and you see all the way back there, and that's 68 meters, which is, again, snipers would count at this range. This is kind of a tricky spot to do because you can fall off pretty easily, and once people know you're here, a lot of people know how to like counter snipe this spot, but that's another good spot. You could also go over here and go from garage to garage. As you see over there, that's 53 meters, which is long enough to be a sniper long shot. But yeah, pretty much you just go in the barracks, find out what range you need, and then what I would do is just try to ping a like highly trafficked area. So like in these houses, again, these buses are pretty high traffic, so you ping that 24 meters. That's more than enough. Even if you feel like you need to get a little bit closer, I mean, they stole my kill right there. Like, you can pretty much, I would always give a couple meters as like a safe zone, I guess, like a rather be safe than sorry type of deal. And yeah, that's pretty much it for long shots. So you can just ping whatever and then back up until you're at that ideal range, or not that ideal range, or the long shot range, and, you know, just pretty much sit there and camp and wait. It's not that fun, but I feel like if you're going for camo challenges, you're not really trying to have fun, and you shouldn't expect to have fun, to be honest. For tip number 5, this is about taking cover, or the killing enemies while behind cover. They made this a lot easier. They made the behind cover requirements a lot more forgiving, I guess. But pretty much, again, what I would suggest is playing hardcore Nuketown, or even core Nuketown, but ideally domination, and pretty much just sit from window to window. You can actually even get 2 birds with 1 stone. Like if you sit back here, 47 meters, so you can't necessarily get a sniper kill here, but like a LMG or tac rifle, you can get tac rifle long shots here. So yeah, for behind cover, pretty much window to window is going to be your best friend. But also if you peek out, especially on domination, if they're hiding behind a car, if they're hiding behind these buses, like that guy right there, if they're hiding behind these buses, if they're hiding behind the Jeep, I'm pretty sure most of these count. So you do have a lot of options when it comes to behind cover, but most importantly, you pretty much just want to counter snipe anyone else who's in this opposite window of you. Again, these can all be done on different maps and whatever. I know a lot of people like Checkmate or whatever, like a lot of my friends preferred that map for behind cover, but I just pretty much did everything on Nuketown. It used to be that they had to be crouching for it to count as a behind cover kill. I don't know if that's still the case, as long as they're like somewhat hidden. But yeah, that's pretty much my strategy for the kills behind cover. Tip number 6 is for the point blank kills, and now I have 2 kind of strategies for this one. One's a more relaxed passive method, and the other is a more aggressive one. The safer bet is to literally play, again, Nuketown, either on hardcore or core. Again, I would recommend hardcore just because they die faster, which means you have a better chance of killing them while they're in that point blank range. The safe bet I would do is just going in one of these houses and camping the doors. Obviously, you know, look out for people like this. But ideally you would want an objective based game mode where people are going to be running back and forth, but you know, you just sit here and wait for anyone to come in, and as long as you kill them within like this little area right here, it'll count as a point blank. And if your team pushes too hard, you know, you can run back here, hopefully not get seen, and when they run in here again, it'll count pretty much in any doorway. If you just camp right outside of it and they run in, that's an easy way to get a point blank kill. The other way, which is the way I pretty much did it, is just to play aggressively. And for this, you'd want to run ninja. Obviously, like right there is a point blank. You want to run ninja so they don't see or hear you coming. You also want to make sure you have a high mag capacity as well as a good hip fire accuracy. This is because obviously the more ammo you have, the more rounds you can shoot, and the better your hip accuracy is, the less you have to, you know, worry about ADSing. And don't get me wrong, you could, you know, ADS up close, but it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier just to run up and hip fire them to death. But again, you want ninja on so that way they can't hear you coming. You might want to run Lawbreaker so you can get ghost as well, so they can't see you on the mini map, because the way ghost works is as long as you're moving, you won't be detected. So if you're aggressive and you're pushing and you're not staying in one spot, you should, you know, go undetected. And if you pair with ninja, not only will they not see you coming, they won't hear you coming, which allows you to get up close and get those point blank kills a lot more easier. Now for tip number 7, we're going to move over to the launchers, and I get these questions a lot. First off is the launcher aerial score streaks, and as you can see, we're in fire team dirty bomb. And pretty much what I do in this game mode is don't worry about winning at all. Don't even worry about your KD, but pretty much the strat here is just to, you know, wait for an enemy to call in an aerial score streak or kill streak, whatever, and then kill yourself, spawn back in so you can fall on top of it like this, and then blow it out the sky. Obviously that takes more than one hit, but the strat here is you want to run Lawbreaker so that way your RPG is in your hand at first, because like I said, we're just going to keep killing ourselves, so that way we pretty much stay in the air and just wait for UAVs or whatever. And if you're falling, you don't want to have to waste time to switch to your RPG while in the air. Right out the gate, you'll have your RPG in your hand. You obviously want to have engineer on so you can see the score streaks and whatever, but aside from that, there's really nothing else to it. If you plan on landing and living, you could run danger close and scavenger, so that way you have more ammo and you can resupply ammo. But for me, I just always planned on dying, and even for score streaks like this or ground streaks like this, you just fall and, you know, just fall out of the sky and pretty much shoot them. You can't fall too far or too fast, because once you hit like a certain speed, you'll go back into free falling. Pretty much we just kill ourselves. Obviously we have to wait a couple seconds, so that's why you always want to be on top of this as fast as possible. I also run spycraft so that way the counter UAV doesn't block my mini map, which helps because if we go to the map, we can see, I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but we can get a better understanding of where score streaks are or whatever. Like if we look all the way over here, we have this guy driving in the car, and this is a kind of boring slash, I don't want to say stupid method because it works. Maybe silly is the right word to use, but like assuming this guy stays in his car, which he doesn't, we could fall down on him and shoot him. But even like this is weak. We can, and we just missed, but you get the point. Half the time I wouldn't even recommend calling in the shoot or pulling the shoot, just so that way you instant die. So that way you can pretty much just jump right back into deploying, and you always want to air deploy, obviously. And it will show UAVs on this map, but I guess it flew away already or already got shot down. But like right here, this guy got on and I messed that up, but ideally you wouldn't do that. You would be successful. And this also helps with the kill 3 score streaks or whatever in one game. This is what I did for that as well. You just stay in the sky, wait until you see somebody get on a vehicle with engineer equipped, and then just fall on them. This is a lot easier with the Sigma. This is probably the only thing the Sigma's good for, because you can lock on from the sky, and if you're fast enough you can shoot and then reload and then shoot again. It's not too hard to do, but you definitely have to have your timing down right. But yeah, you pretty much get the idea. Just keep falling from the sky and just keep a lookout for vehicles with engineer on. Some things like these take more than one shot, and obviously you just don't miss, but that's a strat. What are you doing, guy? But yeah, even with that strat, even if like say you're diving on somebody on like a motorcycle with the Sigma, even if you lock on, a lot of people don't jump off for whatever reason. Well, you know, Ideally, we would have got there first, but... Oh, another tip for the aerial score streaks, especially with the RPG, wow, is that you can get it done in multiplayer. However, with the RPG, I would not suggest trying to shoot the UAVs. Counter UAVs, maybe. More so, I would just go for the supply drops, because even if they drop the crate, as long as you blow up the plane, or whatever you would call it, as long as you blow that up before it leaves, that counts as an aerial kill. Again, even if it already dropped the care package. For tip number 8, we're still talking about launchers, and this is the launcher double kills. Now, for this is kind of, it is an annoying one to do, especially with like the Sigma or something. But pretty much, once again, I'd recommend playing hardcore Nuketown, preferably on a hard point or domination game mode. I prefer domination, but pretty much I would just camp up, and like I said, Nuketown's small enough to where there's most likely going to be a couple people, especially playing the objective. So for example, if this was domination, you could do what this guy's doing and just peek B. And whenever more than one person goes to B, ideally you would have it capped so they would have a reason to, you know, push it. You would just shoot over there and pray for the best. I know launchers did just get buffed, but I don't know how broken flak jacket still is, so you might have to just luck out with people not running flak jacket, which is annoying, but you know, just stay patient and it'll happen. For tip number 9, we're going to talk about melee weapons, more specifically the kills while injured. Now, the passive way you can do this is just by, you know, charging enemies. More than likely they're going to shoot you a couple times, and hopefully you'll kill them, at which point you'll get a point in the challenge, because obviously you were injured when you killed them. But if you want to do this on a more aggressive approach, just equip flak jacket. Hold on, guy. Let me explain the challenge. Equip flak jacket and a Molotov. Throw the Molotov. Burn yourself a little bit. As you can see in the bottom, my health is going down, which means I'm injured. Then go get your kill. Now, the main issue with this is that in core, your health obviously regenerates, so you would have to get a kill pretty quickly, or alternatively, you can go into hardcore and, you know, take like, you got to be very careful though, because you don't want to kill yourself, but you would take like 1 or 2 hits in hardcore. I would do 1 just to play it safe, but in hardcore, you don't regen health, so that way you're pretty much in a permanent injured state. Obviously, you're a lot more likely to die because you have like 1 health. But then again, if you can, you know, play your cards right, you can probably get a lot of injured kills with this method, because like I said, you're perpetually in a state of being injured. So, you know, high risk, high reward type of situation. I would suggest just staying in core and doing it the pretty much passive way. Just charge enemies, try to get them to, you know, see you coming so they can shoot you, but do it in a way where it's almost at the last second, like to where you pretty much scare them more than give them time to defend themselves. And then finally, for tip 10, which isn't really a tip in the sense of like helping with the weapon, but at the same time maybe a little bit. And pretty much in Cold War, unlike in Modern Warfare, you don't need to get all of the base weapons done in order to get diamond for that class. So what that means is, say you don't like the QBZ, but you like the Groza. You can get the Groza gold instead of the QBZ, and it'll still unlock diamond because you only need 5 out of 5 or however many it is for that class. Likewise with the SMG, the MAC-10's one of the better SMGs, and compared to something like the KSP, which I personally hate, you can swap the KSP for the MAC-10 and it'll still count towards diamonds, which ultimately counts towards dark matter. I don't know if the Wakazashi or Sledgehammer replaces the knife. I would assume they would, but I'm not certain on that. But yeah, obviously with season 2 right around the corner, we'll have more weapons, so replacing a base gun with a DLC gun will be a lot more viable when that happens. And as a bonus tip, I guess tip number 11 or whatever, do these at your own pace. Unless you're specifically going for world's first or whatever, which good luck, just do them at your own pace. Don't race nobody, don't, you know, burn yourself out. I know not a lot, but I know a handful of people who were also on the camo grind with me who pretty much just ended up burning themselves out and couldn't get back into it. Me, I'm pretty comfortable with self-hatred, so, you know, I just tough it through and get them all done as fast as possible. But even then, I still kind of pace myself. I always get a couple people here and there that are like, oh, like, you want to race when the next mastery camo comes out? And although I do get the competitiveness to it, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go at my pace. It's gonna be a steady pace, a consistent pace, a slightly faster pace than most people, but I already lose my mind doing these camo challenges as it is, let alone trying to fit into someone else's schedule. So yeah, just do it at your own pace. If you can only get 2 hours in a day, get 2 hours in a day. If your friend can get 30 hours in a day, don't even worry about it. You're not your friend. Just focus on you. Stay patient, stay consistent, and you'll end up getting it done. But yeah, I guess that's ultimately my top 10 tips for unlocking Dark Matter Ultra or DM Ultra, plus, you know, the bonus tip at the end. Again, keep in mind, these are based on my personal experience. This isn't the definitive top 10 list. And I also know that I'm not the first one to put out like a top 10 or whatever tip guide for these camos, but people have been asking me, so I decided just to make one for my own. I will be doing one of these for Dark Ether as well, so if you need help with that, that should be coming soon. I don't know how soon, but yeah, if any of these tips helped you, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. If you have any other tips that you think should have been on the list but weren't, let me know in the comments below. I know we're all caught up on camos, at least for right now, but again, like I said, season 2 is right around the corner, so with new weapons comes new camos, or not new camos, but you get what I mean. So if you want to watch me grind those camos live, I stream here on YouTube. So again, if you're new here or haven't yet already, don't forget to hit the bell so you know not only when I upload new content, but when I go live. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Failure7x. Thank you for watching. Now get off me.